letting go of shame. Now, in today's conversation, I would like to build upon our last few videos in which we spoke about identifying thoughts that are in harmony with how you truly are. You have the ability, with the power of intuition and imagination, to go inside yourself, in your inner world, and connect yourself back to how you truly are, whatever that means to you. Now, another thing we discussed was identifying thoughts that we have been unconsciously identifying with by working with the spiritual alchemy process, which I'll put a link in the description to that video, or any process that is designed to identify the thoughts that are in disharmony with who you truly are. Thinking patterns, beliefs, interpretations about yourself in relation to people, environment, circumstance, information. Discern, distinguish. Recognize that you are transcendent to all thoughts. And then consciously identify with the thoughts that are in harmony with who you truly are, how you truly want to be, and how you truly, looking within yourself. Certainly we can get inspiration from others. However, there's only one suggester. You are the only suggester. The thoughts in harmony with how you are and encouraging those thoughts. So, upon encouraging those thoughts, they express as the outer aspects of life. In our relationships, in our business, in our personal life, family life, in our hobbies, how we desire to live. Now, everyone knows that one of my favorite words, and actually the favorite word right now, is nuance. When a person gets to a point where they achieve a lot of the things that they once set out to achieve, upon doing the very process of discovering within themselves that which they have been identifying with unconsciously, that is not true to how they are, and let go of those thoughts, and encouraging the thoughts of how they truly are, it externalizes as success in those areas. When they achieve those successes, a lot of times they ask the question, what's next? What else do I want to experience in this life? The reality is that life, just like the infinite world of imagination, is infinite. We are just beginning to experience all that can be experienced, if we could ever experience all that can be experienced, because the infinite world is just that, infinite. Now, what prevents a person from really going in and discovering what they love to higher, more nuanced degrees, slight variation? Maybe a person wants to build a business again, only this time they set a number of different components as criteria. They want to do it from a place of flow. They want to do it in a certain country. They want to serve a certain market. They want to do it radically different, or even subtly different than how they did it before. And this excites them. It stimulates them. It stimulates their imagination. Same is to be said about relationships. Perhaps they've been through a number of relationships and they've gotten to a point where they say, what else is there? It seems to be the same thing again and again. Is that really true? Well, I can assure you from my experience that relationships continue to evolve to the degree that I evolve within myself. The same is to be said about business, all areas of our life. The travels within, our ability to go into imagination, and the degree of nuance of what we capture in our imagination, which is stimulated by keeping ourselves in a highly inspired state, which I had learned from The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. He said, keep your inspiration at a peak. Now, what does that mean? For me, self-talk, environments, conversations, different life experiences, that stimulate my imagination for ideas of what I can do next. This is how I discovered many hobbies that I now enjoy, such as gardening, snowboarding, that were discovered along this path as a result of trying new things. Now, what prevents a person from trying new things? Well, upon having many conversations with others, including myself, I realized it was shame. Shame. Now, what is shame? Well, let's identify what shame is in regards to living the life that you truly want to live, being who you really are. These are thinking patterns. I am not good enough. I am unappreciated. I am flawed in character. I am insignificant. I go unnoticed. Now, if a person unconsciously identifies with these kinds of thinking patterns, what are they imagining about life? Now, if these are the thinking patterns that we have been encouraging unconsciously or seem to play out in the outer aspects of life, for example, for the longest time, I used to do this. Whenever I used to want to genuinely do something that I really felt like doing, that was true and authentic to who I am, I would look around to see if anybody would approve or validate or give me some kind of confirmation. I observe their body language, what they say, and I conclude that I'm not good enough. I'm unappreciated. I'm flawed in character. Therefore, I shouldn't, which is completely conceptual, do the thing that I really want to do. Now, at a certain point, I said, I don't want to live this way anymore. I let go in the process via the subconscious mind work, self-talk, revision, autosuggestion, and supporting environments, aspects or thinking patterns that are not true to who I am. I let them go. I said, I'm not going to look around to see what other people are doing and ask for permission. They're not even asking me to ask them for permission. This is my own thinking pattern. I let go of it. I started to apply that same way of thinking to all other areas of my life. And a few interesting things ended up happening. Number one is I do. I feel like doing it, I'll do it. It's not done from a place of spite. It's a genuine desire to be who I really want to be. I notice in relationships, friendships, people show up wanting to do the exact same things that I want to do. They have let go to the exact same degree of shame that I have let go of. We accept each other, we have conversations, we talk about our goals, our visions, our desires, and we genuinely get excited about another person's goals, visions, and desires. So we're keeping our inspiration at a peak as a result of letting go of shame. In the Hermetica, it's stated that we were bestowed two gifts. They are speech and mind, and that they are equal to immortality. And it states, if one useth these for what he ought, he'll differ not a whit from the immortals. Nay, rather on departing from the body, he will be guided by the twain unto the choir of gods and blessed ones. We have an opportunity to think accurately. Think how you really want to think and observe the changes that occur. It's miraculous how your life changes. Life re-becomes magical again, childlike. A child is void of shame. Perhaps they go through experiences in life in which they interpret it as, I am not good enough. I am not appreciated. I am flawed in my character. I am insignificant. I go unnoticed. They begin to think that that's how they are. The reality is that's how they're thinking. The truth of the matter is they are transcendent to these thoughts, and these thoughts are not in harmony with how they truly are. The reality is they are good enough. They are appreciated. They are complete inside, as we discussed in Sunday's video. I recommend watching it. We are complete in imagination. And as a result of being complete in imagination, we express in our communication, in our relationships, in our businesses, in all areas of our life, in arts, in dance. And these great work expressions, which is a result of the reconciliation, which to me is identifying with the true thinking patterns. It appears that they go noticed. People say, wow, what amazing art piece. You are so much fun to be around with. I love being around you. Upon deeper introspection, we will realize that people are admiring the very thing that we represent by being who we truly are, and they feel inspired by that. They feel inspired that you feel that you're good enough in every situation, everywhere you go. You feel comfortable, you feel at home, you feel you belong. You appreciate yourself, and you don't go looking for that appreciation in the outer world because you are complete inside. And you receive praise, and that praise further encourages you to be who you have already encouraged yourself to be. You realize that you're going to be how you really want to be. Your character, your self-image is a reflection of how you truly are. And the outer world is a reflection to a higher degree, more so, of how you truly are. You recognize that you are significant inside. This, to me, is the conscious use of the two gifts of speech and mind. And we experience our life from the true and accurate thinking pattern, the inner speech that fills up our mind with conversations about all areas of our life that are true and in harmony with how we really are. When I got into this personal development journey back in 2004, when I read Think and Grow Rich, upon working with this information, we realized that this is about becoming who you truly are. A bunch of those attributes that I learned in the beginning, those were attributes that I was actually encouraging in myself, which felt so resonant, which allowed me to be the way that I am now. And still, till this day, I find even more nuances to be how I truly want to be. I observe it throughout my day. If I go through my experiences every day and I feel that I'm not allowing myself to be how I really want to be in whatever the experience is, in my business and my personal life, I reflect. I say, what are my thinking patterns in relation to this experience that seems to be revealed by this experience of shame, tension, reactivity, fear? These emotions are important because they are revealing my thinking patterns. And I know that if I identify these thinking patterns, and we'll go through the process in a moment, and change them, the experience will change. Now, Earl Nightingale said it in The Strangest Secret, you become what you think about. We become what we think about in relation to who we are. We genuinely want to think about how we truly are, and we want to see that represented in everything that we do. That to me is symbolic of the statement, if one useth these for what he ought, as in your own heart, your own intuition, you know exactly what it is that you want to become. Now, one of the things that I mention a lot is make flow a priority. If you haven't watched my flow series, I recommend watching it. And there are many reasons why I recommend making flow a priority. One of the primary reasons for doing this is you'll find that while you are in your flow, you will automatically let go of certain thinking patterns in which the thinking patterns within identification to those thinking patterns seems to create an illusion that what is outside is greater than who you are. The source is inside and it expresses as the outside. You realize this experientially while you're in the flow. you feel so complete within, you let go of shame-based thinking patterns of neediness. Because if a person does not feel that they're good enough, unappreciated, flawed in character, insignificant, unnoticed, which does not exist, these thinking patterns do not exist while you're in flow and deep stages of flow, the zone, autotelic. If a person thinks of these thinking patterns, they could start behaving in a way, and this was the case with me, where they look around to see what other people are doing. And while it's important to also value the inspiration that we get from admiring those that have achieved success, that live the lives that are inspiring to us, we want to do it from a place of completion. Because when we do it from a place of completion, we do it from a genuine place of appreciation to them and ourselves. As far as relationships go, we call this healthy relationships. Now, if a person doesn't do this, then they seem to say things and do things and behave in a way where they're obviously, overtly, or even covertly begging for that neediness. Now, if we experience this, no need to shame ourselves. We simply understand that these are thinking patterns that we are identifying with. And we practice the subconscious mind work. Watch the video that I did on what to say when you talk to yourself. I trust you'll find that to be very helpful. I'll put a link in the description to that video. Now, in his book, he refers to this because he had a very deep degree of understanding of how this stuff works. He says, to overcome the anxieties and depressions of contemporary life, individuals must become independent of the social environment to the degree that they no longer respond exclusively in terms of its rewards and punishments. When a person recognizes a higher degree of completeness within by reconciling their thinking patterns, discovering them, making peace with them, what they will notice is as follows. For example, in sales, let's say I'm on a Zoom call with a prospect. If they want to move forward with the deal, great. If they don't want to move forward with the deal, great. So let me say that again. If they want to move forward with the deal, great. If they do not want to move forward with the deal, great. Because my goal is the definite chief aim. And I know in each sales presentation, I have refined myself to be exactly like how I am in that moment, which is ideal. And as a result, the theater plays out. What I notice is a lot of times they will come back and do the deal with me. What I also notice is they will enjoy the process of having that conversation with me, that they will go out there and refer people to me who are a match for my distinct product or service. What I also notice, which amps up my flow, is I don't feel shamed by it. I don't say, oh, if this person doesn't buy off me, then I'm not good enough. I'm not appreciated. I got a flaw inside of me. I'm insignificant. I'm unnoticed. Those thinking patterns are thinking patterns we can transcend by doing the subconscious mind work. You'll notice this. Whatever a person says to you, it will still be in harmony and in contribution to your vision, your goal, your definite chief aim, lightheartedly so. Now, we get to this position with practice. The repetition of performing our sales calls, doing the activities in which we show up, recognizing that we show up complete. And if we identify shame-based thinking in relation to these experiences, we can note those things down. It's important to have a journal. Write these things down. Here are some good questions to ask. So this is the process. We want to identify the shame. If you feel the shame energy, are we saying I'm not good enough, I'm unappreciated, I'm flawed in character, I'm insignificant, I go unnoticed? Now we reflect upon the thinking surrounding the shame. Here are some good questions you could ask. Number one, is this belief true to who I really am? As mentioned in last week's video, which I'll put a link in the description too, What we're looking to do is become who we really are. And you, within yourself, know that. You know exactly how you desire to be. And by being that, you'll notice that the exact people show up ready to do the deal. Such a synchronistic match. And if for whatever the reason they don't want to do the deal, it's fine. Totally fine. It's optimization data. Second, where did I learn this externally that it is true? Because the reality is you didn't find this in your intuition. Intuition will always give you the true and accurate beliefs of how you truly are. If you had an experience as a child on the playground where the other child said you're not good enough for whatever reason, and you believe that to be true about yourself, you can say, well, that was their thinking pattern. That's fine. And I trust that they have overcome that thinking pattern as well, like how now I have overcome that thinking pattern. Totally fine. They realized it wasn't them. I realized it wasn't me. Another good question is, have others ascended beyond this belief? If you believe it's possible, just say it's possible that I could meet someone that could share with me a different way of looking at this experience that's more in harmony with how I am. What you'll notice is they will share with you their beliefs of how they see themselves. And you'll say, wow, this is how I want to think of myself. And I want to think about myself this way because they are symbolically representing in that moment how I truly am. And I want to further identify with this thinking pattern via the self-talk, the revision, the subconscious mind audios, or supporting and encouraging environments, behaviors, experiences, and so forth. Next, intuitively, what belief within is actually true? I mentioned this all throughout our videos. We could look around in this world here, the external world, which is a tiny percentage, if you could even put a percentage on infinity, of all that exists in the infinite world, which all of this is an expression of the infinite world anyways, which is the world within. And ask yourself, okay, what should I believe? How should I think based on what someone else is saying? Nothing wrong with that. If you meet a person or you read a book or you watch a video that has resonant beliefs and you say, this is really how I am, then that's a wonderful thing. What you can also do, and I like to further encourage, because I've done this with myself, which has further helped me realize the reality of the statement that we are complete in imagination, is I can go within myself and find my own beliefs. And the beautiful thing about these beliefs is I noticed that when I was a child, I used to think these beliefs. For whatever the reason may be, usually as a result of shame-based or thinking patterns that are not related to how I truly am, I wasn't encouraging those thinking patterns. Now I do. We can also call this becoming childlike again. And next, if I let go of this belief, how would I imagine myself to be? This is a wonderful thing. As I mentioned many times, I travel into my imagination. It's an infinite world. You can explore your imagination. Nikola Tesla used to travel in his imagination and discover the invention. And when he would express the invention, it would work with all its vivid accuracy. Watch the video that I did on Nikola Tesla's process, which I learned from the Master Key System. I'll put a link in the description to that video. So I travel into the world of imagination, and I can see myself, my higher self, and I'm doing certain things. I'm living a certain way. And I say, wow, this is interesting. At one point, I couldn't imagine myself living this way. And I fuse with it. I become one with it. And I notice that my behaviors change. My environments change. Everything changes to reflect that image in all its vivid accuracy. We have the ability to do this. We can do this via inner conversation, visual, five sensory in imagination, one sense or any of the senses. You can discover the true beliefs, as in how do you see yourself to accurately be. So that would be number 3. When we apply this process here of identifying the shame and being okay with the shame. We don't want to shame our shame. And I want to be how I really want to be. So I have the ability to identify these thinking patterns that, for whatever the reason may be, I was identifying with. I can identify the true and accurate thinking in relation to how I truly am. And I can encourage it more so in my thinking, in my environments, in my behaviors, in relation to number 3 here. Find the accurate meaning in relation to your goals and your visions. This is why I love having a vision and a definite chief aim. Because when I know where I'm going, I can discern through every aspect of my life what is true and what is in harmony. Because the destiny, the vision, the goal is how I destine myself to be. It's how you destine yourself to be. And I say this all the time. Reality rearranges to reflect that vision. We allow reality to rearrange to reflect that vision. It happens automatically. If there's shame-based, which is experienced as force-based, unnecessary reactivity and so forth in relation to shame, we can let go of those thinking patterns. What we'll notice then, beautifully so, is our relationships will improve tremendously. We won't shame and condemn others. We won't shame and condemn ourselves. We will encourage each other, and you will have some of the most deepest conversations, soul to soul, heart to heart, because we're ascending past this programming. This is programming that creates the illusion of separation, and shame is programming that seems to create the biggest degree of separation. We'll see all kinds of shame-based theater of people not accepting each other, saying the same things differently. As a person goes down the process of letting go of shame in relation to what's being discussed here, they will notice that they're living exactly like how they want to live, more so every day. They will also notice others show up, ready to contribute. You in harmony and in contribution to their goals, visions, and definite chief aims, and they in harmony and in contribution to your goals, visions, and definite chief aims. And that's a wonderful thing. And so what ends up happening then is this, what he also talks about in flow. He says, the mystique of rock climbing is climbing. The justification of climbing is climbing. You value the journey and the destination. You enjoy the journey. You actually find, by working with this information here, that you'll actually enjoy identifying the thinking patterns in relation to shame and the satisfaction that you feel when you let go of it and you experience the changes in your life as a result. He says, like the justification of poetry is writing, the act of writing justifies poetry. Climbing is the same, recognizing that you are a flow. To me, when a person says, I am a flow or I am flow, we travel together into different realities and imagination. We explore imagination together, and it expresses in our relationships, creative endeavors, entrepreneurship, and so forth. He says, the purpose of the flow is to keep on flowing. You move up to keep the flow going. And so now what I find is the conversations I'm having is people want to know, okay, I've achieved this success or I've done this and that in my life. What's next? What else can I experience in this world? Well, it's infinite. By letting go of the shame, you actually allow yourself to travel deeper into imagination and find the nuances of personal life, relationships, business, etc. And you become a child again. Like a child, for example, is sitting on the couch and is looking outside the window, and they see kids playing outside. And they feel so much excitement. They want to go outside and play with the kids. Maybe then the parents allow them to go outside and play with the kids. The child then goes and plays with the kids. Then all of a sudden they look across the street and they see a park. And now again they feel the excitement of wanting to go to that park. Then they go to the park. And then there's a next discovery, the next discovery, the next discovery. This is the same when it comes to optimizing your career, your travel, your relationships. There's so much more gold, which by the way is found within. I believe we are gold. keeping with the alchemical perspective, and the gold reflects in the outer world, symbolic representations of that gold in all its nuanced, vivid accuracy. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an autosuggestion to further encourage. You could say, in this moment, and more so in the moments that flow, synchronistically so, I feel appreciated by the experiences that are reflected with others in my environments. I recognize that I am now complete in character, expressing it in the different areas of my life. Through the process, I discover new hobbies, new interests that were always there, now encouraged to be brought to the surface as I find myself automatically noticing that which I am, symbolic in these outer expressions. This reveals my significance and my completion for how I truly am. I desire to live how I truly want to live, and I find myself automatically doing so, automatically committing to my desire in imagination in full faith, recognizing that it shall express itself as I observe my behaviors and interactions with people reflecting those changes that occurred within me. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.